Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. Tasmanian Supreme Court Judge Gregory Geeson has avoided jail time, instead ordered to serve 100 hours of community work for the assault and emotional abuse of a woman. Wild scenes erupted outside Hobart Magistrates Court after the sentence was handed down, with Geeson's supporters clashing with media declaring he's not guilty.
Gregory Geeson, who was found guilty of assault and emotional abuse last month, arrived at Hobart Magistrates Court this morning to learn his fate. Earlier this week, the court heard from the victim, where she disclosed she now suffers from post-traumatic stress and anxiety and had lost faith in the justice system due to Geeson's actions. Today, Victorian Magistrate Susan Wakeling told the court she characterised Geeson's offending as serious due to its profound effect on the victim, stating, "You have not demonstrated any remorse for your offending conduct, even following the finding of guilt," sentencing him to a 12-month community corrections order with 100 hours of community work, with the conviction recorded for both offences. The sentence also includes continuing to undergo psychological or psychiatric treatment. Geeson's lawyer told the court earlier this week that the former judge is preparing to resign imminently. The government says it has yet to receive any confirmation.
Mr. Geeson, do you have anything to say about today's outcome?
I have nothing to say.
Will you resign?
The community corrections order means Geeson mustn't commit any offence that is punishable by time in prison. He mustn't leave the state without permission and is required to report to a probation officer. A family member making her opinion clear as she walked alongside the offender.
He's not guilty.
Lily Thompson, 7 Tasmania News.
An engineering expert believes it was simply bad luck. The jumping castle at the centre of the Hillcrest tragedy was set up in the path of a dust devil. Telling the court on day 8 of the trial, he believes that no number of pegs would have guaranteed it stayed anchored to the ground.
Eyewitness accounts have already described the tornado-like wind which whisked a jumping castle at least 10 metres into the air in 2021, killing 6 children. Called by the defence today, mechanical engineer Professor David Eager described this dust devil as a black swan event, something statistically rare and unforeseeable. Rosemary Gamble is defending a health and safety charge. Part of the case against her is that the castle was only anchored to the ground with 4 pegs instead of the recommended 8. Defence lawyer Chris Dockeray claims she only received 4 from the Chinese manufacturer, to which Professor Eager replied it would be reasonable for her to think, why would I need 4 more stakes? It's also claimed Ms Gamble didn't receive a manual for the castle. If you don't get the information from the manufacturers, as happened here, then you're in the dark, Professor Eager said. Also refuting a number of statements made by the prosecution's engineering expert, including that Ms Gamble wasn't a competent person, saying, "In my eyes, they're competent because they've done it 200, 100 times. It's not rocket science putting one of these up." Professor Eager believes the way in which the dust devil passed over the jumping castle initially put all of its suction power on a single peg, then sequentially ripping 3 of the 4 out of the ground. When asked whether the recommended pegs would have prevented this, he replied, "No way, Jose." He returns to the stand in the morning. The trial was expected to conclude tomorrow, but may now run into next week. Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
What Tasmania's unchanged unemployment means has the state divided. Labor forecasting further impacts to business confidence, as a new survey indicates young Tasmanians are picking up extra shifts and cutting essentials just to help make ends meet.
Despite buying her own home at just 20 years old, Chloe Mead agrees money's a consistent concern for young people.
I worry about money every pay, every week. I worry about what I'm going to have for dinner that week, but I stick to a really strict budget.
A new financial wellbeing report from My State Bank confirming Tasmanians under the age of 35 are taking drastic steps to achieve their goals when it comes to money. Many also remaining resilient, despite 3 in 4 concerned about the cost of living.
What we are finding is that younger Tasmanians are actually doing a bit more about it than older Tasmanians.
The data showing some young people are being forced to pick up extra shifts and cut back on essentials at a rate 3 times higher than other Tasmanians.
This is not a choice for young people. They actually have to stump up and do things differently.
It's unfortunate because now we can't go out and support our local businesses.
Despite this, most young people say they're better off than they were a year ago. It comes as the latest ABS data shows Tasmania's unemployment rate was unchanged in October at 4.2%.
With 400 jobs lost in October and 6,700 jobs since Jeremy Rockliff led his government into minority. Business confidence is crashed.
Tasmania has got the highest wages growth, and the party that allegedly represents the workers, I would have thought, would be celebrating that fact.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
The Community and Public Sector Union has called out the government for outsourcing child safety wellbeing workers. The union claims work done by the Child Safety Advice and Referral Line is being carried out by Tradewind, an international private recruitment firm.
This is data that can change people's lives. This is data about whether a kid is at risk and needs to be removed. This is not work that should be done for a for-profit company.
The Minister for Children and Youth, Roger Yench, disputes that claim, adding the advice and referral line will not be privatised. An investigation into social media abuse hurled towards Jack Jumpers players has found the accounts could be linked to individuals overseas. The club says it's outside the jurisdiction of the Basketball Australia Integrity Unit, but it is continuing to work closely with law enforcement and the E-Safety Commission. A prestigious piece of silverware has touched down in Tasmania, the AFLW Premiership Cup, paying a visit to the Apple Isle for the first time as part of its nationwide tour. Tasmanian-born Premiership player Jess Wichner and Tassie Devil Talent League players getting up close and personal with it today.
Brings that extra bit of excitement about what's happening in Tasmania at the moment, but also about what's happening this year in the W. It's been a fantastic season, so can't wait to see hopefully a couple of Tassie girls lift up the cup.
Is heading to New South Wales next. The state government has unlocked a new plan to utilise our high-value minerals for use in technology and renewable energy. The Tasmania Critical Minerals Strategy outlines key objectives to help grow the industry's success and support close to 7,000 jobs.
We can be world leading in Tasmania with the production of these minerals, which will provide future proofing for our economy, for jobs, royalties.
I'm a big believer in Tasmania making stuff locally and leveraging our assets in an efficient way.
The $3 million roadmap is now publicly viewable. Hobart has welcomed its first partial turnaround cruise of the season. Royal Princess docked today, hundreds boarded the ship, while others disembarked to tour the city.
While hundreds of tourists disembark the Royal Princess, hundreds more embark. It's a new twist to Tasmania's cruise industry.
What we call a partial turnaround. So there's 400 passengers getting on the cruise ship today and 400 passengers getting off.
Giving passengers more flexibility, especially if the extra air travel doesn't float your boat.
It's just so easy. You don't have to have a flight to Sydney, overnight accommodation in Sydney.
It's the convenience of getting in your home port. Don't have to fly anywhere.
The first time an itinerary of this type hitting our waters.
For local Tasmanians, it's so great that they can actually start and embark a cruise here in Tasmania, and they will actually get to disembark here as well.
It's a major boost for the tourism and hospitality sector.
It's a tempter, it's an invitation for people to come back here and spend longer stays, and of course do more cruises here as well.
They're going to spend money in accommodation, they're going to get out into the regions and disperse and spend extra time in Tasmania.
Giving tourists a taste of Tasmania.
Tasmania is just beautiful. Food, wine, hospitality is wonderful.
The Royal Princess is just one of 140 cruise ships that will visit Tasmanian waters over the summer season, bringing an estimated $144 million boost to the local economy. Rebecca Gaidaneris, 7 Tasmania News.
Our state's Women's Legal Service is calling for workplaces to put more emphasis on what constitutes sexual harassment. Industry leaders from across the country speaking at a national conference in Hobart. A new Our Watch survey finding 40% of workplace leaders aren't aware of their legal obligation to protect workers from sexual assault incidents.
Even just something as simple as calling out behaviour, or if you notice somebody's uncomfortable, just actually going and perhaps changing the subject or giving them an opportunity to get an out.
The two-day event will hear from women from the TAC and the Federal Sex Discrimination Commissioner. A Tasmanian brick company has notched up a milestone celebrating a decade of being carbon neutral. Austral Bricks at Longford has produced around 130 million greener bricks, reducing greenhouse gas emissions by around 8,000 tonnes, and business is booming.
The demand is absolutely fantastic, not only through Tasmania but through mainland and eastern seaboard domestically, and internationally through New Zealand, South Korea and Japan.
Because they see the value of carbon neutral and finding a way to be have less impact on the environment.
State government says it wants to see more businesses follow in Austral's eco-friendly footsteps.
As we heard earlier, next year's AFL fixtures been locked in, bringing some blockbuster games our way. North Melbourne will end their Tasmanian residency with a bang, hosting the Brisbane Lions and Richmond Tigers in their send-off games at Ninja Stadium. And Friday night footy will land at UTAS Stadium for the first time when the Hawks host the Crows in round 14. They'll also face the Giants, North Melbourne and Port Adelaide throughout the season. Locally, the new look Northern Premier League is starting to take shape, but questions still remain on what next year will look like. Some clubs are yet to lock in coaches, and player movements are up in the air as work to build the season ramps up. After months of controversy, today a sign of unity. The 6 clubs picked for the Premier Division ready to tackle the challenges of season 2025.
You're going up a league, and it's nearly a bit of a reset to reprogram. Instead of it being then a countryside, you're now playing against the best teams in the north.
We've got a few good recruits coming in, so I'm really excited.
Once public opposers to the shake-up in the wake of the TSL ending, North Launceston has reaffirmed their commitment.
Really make no apologies for that. It was a difficult transition from the Tasmanian State League, where we were quite comfortable and successful. When it became obvious that the best footy in North was going to be played in the Premier League and a regional comp, we're committed.
But with the Bombers coming off an undefeated State League season and the country teams working through the promotion, the NTFA says it's under no illusions the first years could throw some curveballs.
Unrealistic to stand here and say that everything's going to be even. Like anything new, it's a work in progress, and will continue to help and facilitate.
Several player and coaching movements are yet to be locked in, but North is confident flag-winning coach Adrian Smith will stay on.
His intention is to stay. He's a very loyal fellow. He's been with us for some years, and the fact that there hasn't been an announcement is really just because I haven't sat down with him and had a beer and stitched it up.
Deloraine is expected to make its coaching announcement in the coming days. Hobart Hurricanes batter Lizelle Lee has hit a major milestone in the Canes' win against Adelaide last night. The opener has backed up a record century with another, becoming the first player to score 100 runs in consecutive WBBL matches. Her teammates today singing her praises.
Special and remarkable inning, Lee.
She's just in incredible form at the minute, Lizelle. Like, we know what she can do.
The Hurricanes will face the Strikers again at Adelaide Oval on Saturday. Well, 34 of the world's best mountain bike riders will take to the dirt at Medina, with Red Bull Hardline Tasmania revealing the lineup for the 2025 event. Rowan Dunn will be returning to defend his title with a possible hat-trick on the cards after winning both this year's headlines in Tasmania and Wales. Tasmanian Dan Booker will also have a chance to compete alongside the world's best downhill riders. It's only the second time the competition has taken place in Australia.
Good evening. Hobart, 20 degrees today. Launceston, the state's high with 21. Devonport and Burnie, 19. Temperatures were mostly below average after Lyawini dropped to -1 overnight. Bushy Park, a high of 19. Lowhead and Friendly Beaches, 18. St Helens and Flinders Island, tops of 17. And Strawn, a high of 16 degrees. Scattered cloud over us today, but not much to report out of that. Just 2 millimetres today at Warra. Now, that trough line and thunderstorms has cloud over Western Australia and over and across to Queensland. High cloud over central regions as well. Some low cloud cover over eastern South Australia into Victoria. Tomorrow a high still remains over the state. However, a cold front is brewing to the west, and of course all the troughs continue up north. The south to southeasterly winds will tend more northeasterly at around 25 knots tomorrow, but lighter over western waters. Hobart tomorrow, 17 and cloudy, 17 and cloudy for Huonville. Cool night for Huonville, 3 overnight. Campania 4 to a top of 17 degrees. Launceston cloudy and 19, 17 the top for Devonport. Cloudy for Georgetown and 17 degrees as well. Burnie expecting 17, a popular number. Cloudy for Strawn, 18 the top and 17 for Wynyard tomorrow. And along the east coast, St Helens a high of 16 with a shower or two. Possible shower for Swansea, 40% chance, 17 the high and 16 for Port Arthur. On Saturday, light showers over the north, easing in the afternoon, fine for the remainder. On Sunday, showers more widespread before contracting to the west in the evening, and a few showers over the west, central and south on Monday. 25 in Perth tomorrow, a sunny 29 for Adelaide, early cloud and 20 in Melbourne. A possible shower forecast for Sydney, the chance of a thunderstorm, and a shower or two in Brisbane. Some cloud about, but fine. Cool in Hobart, it's 14 at the moment, 19 in Launceston, 16 in Devonport. Kim, another day's weather done, another day closer to retirement.
Oh, you've been threatening that for years. You'll never go. Turn the lights off.